All coaches aspire to be champions, and this time of year is when you set that vision for your team. By now, listeners of this podcast know about signature championship rings and have met some of the signature champion coaches who partner with them to celebrate their achievements. Reputable, affordable, first-class customer service are just some of the ways we keep hearing coaches describe signature championship rings. So as you're ramping up this summer for the upcoming season, create a championship vision for your team now using the design tool at sigaturechampions.com/podcast. Give your team a visual to motivate their pursuit of a championship in 2024. And when your team has a championship moment to celebrate, we highly recommend consulting with Signature Championship Rings.
One of the things that I kind of pride myself on now is the relationships I built with coaches. And one of the things that helped me out with that is, just like I said, you're clearing your mind, right? You're clearing your mind, and before you step into any coach or any AD or any meeting that you have, that meeting is the most important meeting you're going to have.
On this episode of Coach and Coordinator Podcast, we bring you a story of transformation, resilience, and the unyielding spirit of coaching. We sit down with Zach Crespo, a former college football coach who transitioned from the high-stakes world of coaching in the Power 5 to a fulfilling career that keeps him close to the game he loves. Zach's journey is marked by dedication, adaptability, and courage to balance professional ambition with personal fulfillment. From his early days as a student assistant at the University of Central Florida under legendary coach George O'Leary to coaching at top-tier programs, Zach's experiences have shaped him into a mentor and leader off the field. Zach shares the lessons he learned in college football, the pivotal moments that led him to step away from coaching, and how he found new purpose and success with Vertical Raise, a company revolutionizing fundraising for athletic programs. Zach's story resonates with situations we all must face within our careers. The crossroads he faced are something we probably all reflect on at one point or another. I know every year in November I get calls from college coaches contemplating what their next steps are inside or outside of the game. For Zach, his choice led to a lucrative career while still getting his coaching fix as a fundraising coach for Vertical Raise. While Zach decided a pivot was necessary, his insight is valuable to any coach inside or outside of the game right now, especially as you think about how you develop your skills and relationships. I'll share our winning edge takeaways following the episode. What you see on tape is a direct reflection of what you teach and how you teach. Video is important, but if you don't teach well, you're not going to like what you see on your video. First Down Playbook has been helping coaches teach better for 13 years. It allows you to present installs, playbooks, and practice cards in half the time with NFL quality. Coaching tools like video pairing, a player app, practice schedules, and wristband sheets have made First Down Playbook a program management system with everything in one place. If you're in a position of leadership with your football program, receive a free 1-week look at First Down Playbook. Call them at 512-814-6158 or visit them on their website or social media. Mention Coach and Coordinator Podcast or use the coupon code COACH24 to receive a $100 discount off the normal $700 First Down Playbook team membership price. Links and the phone number are in the show notes. On today's episode of Coach and Coordinator, we're going to talk about the idea that you have more than you think you have to give. I know as coaches, we get pigeonholed sometimes, and I think this thought, these ideas, we're theming this around today applies to certainly you in the coaching profession, but I do get a lot of calls from people who look to make a transition out of coaching. I did myself and found some things that worked for me. And our guest today did exactly that. Spent some time coaching college football at the highest levels of college football. I had some great mentors in the game, but ultimately made a decision to step away from coaching and do some other things. Now, he stays close to the game. He clinics coaches out there. He is a true coach at heart. We're appreciative to have him here, and that's Zach Crespo. Zach, great to have you here on the podcast.
Thanks, Keith. Happy to be here.
I want to share a little bit behind your coaching journey here. I think this is a unique story you have to share, and I think it's a powerful one as well. One that certainly, hit home with me and some of the things that we're going to talk about today. But for you, this all started back when you were in college as a student assistant and really got to work with some legendary names right off the bat.
That's right. Yeah. So I attended University of Central Florida, and I was at the University of Central Florida for a total of 7 seasons. So I started kind of as a student assistant, not making anything, volunteering my time. And it's actually funny, one of the first coaches I worked under was George O'Leary. And the way George O'Leary worked was, the people that were paid and the people that were on his staff were the people that were going to work, nobody else from the outside. So I was kind of like on the outside trying to get in. So I had to sneak into the office. People say you got to, everybody tries to sneak out when the head coach is gone and things like that. No, I tried to sneak into the office and do my work. I was working with GAs and analysts at the time, and actually we didn't have any analysts back then, but really just GAs. And I was doing some work in there trying to learn and stuff like that, and then started to become, closer to the program, and then, was working as a student assistant there with George. And then I became a GA for him in 2015. So I did 4 years of volunteer work for him. And then in 2015 became a GA for him. And man, that was a really good experience. He's a hard coach to work for, but I'm so grateful I did. Unfortunately, that year we went 0-12, and, it was his time to go. So he had been there for 10 plus years at that point. So he left, and then I was a GA at that point, just 1 year in as a GA, and Scott Frost came in, and I was a holdover on his staff. I think there was a total of 4 of us that got held over onto Scott Frost's staff, and we went, and I became a GA for him and did special teams. It was a special teams QC for him. So we kind of did that, and we went 6-6 in 2016. 2016 went 6-6, and then 2017 we had the magical season, 13-0, Peach Bowl victory, and all that stuff. And that's when he had got the job at Nebraska. So we went to Nebraska. He took pretty much the entire staff. We went to Nebraska, and we were there for 2 years. And then my mentor at the time, who was the special teams coordinator, had gotten the special teams coordinator job at the University of North Carolina. So he had brought me with him, and was with Mac Brown for 2 years in 2020 and 2021. And then in mid-2022, decided to put in my resignation and pursue other things in life.
Yeah, that's not an easy thing to do as coaches. We live that lifestyle. It's what you know. You develop a way of doing things, and I think we get narrowly focused on the skills that we develop, and a lot of times not see that there's application for those skills all over the place. And because of the nature, especially where you're working at, you got to do your job in an elite way. And there's a ton of value to people, to companies, to organizations beyond football teams that would love to have those skill set and a kind of person who can be dedicated. Now, I know for you it was moving from the 100-hour weeks and really a focus on family, but I think all those things work together for you to make that jump. And I think it takes a little bit of courage. Is you did it with nothing in hand. It wasn't like somebody offered you a job and said, "Okay, this is what I'm going to go do now."
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. The way that worked was I kind of figured that there was more to life. I was around college football for 10 years. I've seen people, go in and out of college football. And it's a very, very unique profession because you can be the best at what you do. You can be the best ever and still get fired for no wrongdoing of your own, right? If the head coach is gone, kind of everybody else underneath him is gone. And people don't realize that coming from, watching them, watching college football on Saturdays and stuff like that. Like they see a coach get fired. Oh, that coach got fired. No, actually they got another 50 guys underneath him got fired too.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of crazy. And I saw that side of it, and I saw how many times people were moving, and I just saw how many times that dads were missing their kids' games. And I had a child at the time. I had a small kid. So I was like, man, there has to be more to life than this. And if I wasn't able to see my kid have a baseball game or whatever, maybe a football game or a lacrosse game, whatever it may be, I was going to really not think of myself pretty well, right? I was really going to be upset with myself if I got to do that. And I wanted myself to be there for my kid, for my wife. I didn't want to see her move. She's a rock star and she would definitely move if I asked her to, but I just didn't want to see that stress go through her. And, when our kids start going to school, them have to jump schools. And, so I just knew that there was a lot more out there. And, I'm going to put my faith in God and just say, hey, there's something else out there. And I took a leap of faith. And I said, hey, I'm going to step away from this profession. My family needs me. I'm going to go and be with them. And whatever God has in the works, he's going to do. So that's what happened. I resigned, and it was probably in June, July of 2022. I didn't really have anything going. I had my, resume out there. I didn't know who would take me for being 10 years of college football. I think the last job I had before college football, I was working at a CVS in college or something like that. So I didn't, or in high school. So I didn't really know what I had to offer to other people. Right around late October, early November, Vertical Raise came calling, and, we had our conversation, and I said, you know what, let me try to do this. I'm not bringing in any income, and it sounds good. And, the only thing I can do is go up. So I can't lose money off the deal. So I might as well try to give it a start. So that's where it led me to today.
I've been there, and I know what that feels like. And for me, it was a similar thing. I mean, I am where I am right now, and my thought was it was going to be temporary at the time. But I wanted to see my kids do their thing in high school. I had missed a lot of what they were doing in middle school and youth sports. I mean, my son was playing football when he was, 7, 8 years old. And I remember the one year I saw 3/4 of a game, and it actually took me 3 times to get there and see just a quarter before I had to, be to the field to the, facility to start doing what I'm doing or get on a bus or whatever it might have been.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, heartbreaking. I hated missing that stuff. And so I took that leap of faith in 2016 after the season and said, I'm going to do something. I know I've developed a lot of skills that would be marketable. I'm going to do something. And I had 3 opportunities literally within a week, and the one I took at the time was USA Football, which, turned out to be great, and was able to do some really good things there. But, that's what sometimes we get tunnel vision, and we think that that's our value to the world as a coach. And what I find now, it's funny because I don't tell anybody to do it, but I still get called coach all the time by the people I work with or people I talk to. And I think it's just something in the way we approach people that we are always trying to help. And I know for you, that's been a good transition, which I want to talk about a little bit later with what you're doing now with Vertical Raise. But for you, I think the biggest thing you mentioned to me before we got going that helped you in this transition is your level of organization and things you learned along the way to stay organized. And again, as I said, do your job at an elite level.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the big things that I developed being a GA and analyst for all those years was, my organizational skills. You had to know kind of when things needed to be done, how they needed to be done, and all of those things. And if I wasn't organized as a football coach, I wouldn't be where I am today. So, they get somebody to come in and replace me really quick. So I had to be organized with my skills and with what needed to get done and all the tasks that are involved and things like that. And that really helped me out to where I am today. That's a skill that it became second nature. I didn't think I was an organized person. Like if someone would have came to me and said, oh, what are your greatest qualities? Organization probably wouldn't have been one of them. Just because I didn't really think about it, it was just second nature to me. Mm-hmm. But what I came to realize was that, man, if I didn't have those skills that I had in college football, then I wouldn't be as successful as I am today. Because, there's a lot of things with Vertical Raise that involves organization, and because you speak to so many different people and you have so many different conversations and you're getting pulled in so many different directions that you need to keep everybody on track, and you need to make every conversation the most important conversation you're having at that point. So you can't be thinking about something else while you're talking to another coach. It's just not going to work like that. So, one of the things that I've always done back to the coaching days was everything that was in my head, I put down on paper. I always tried to take nuggets. If anybody was talking, if anybody was clinicking, if a coach had said something to me, something needed to get done, whatever it may be, I always wanted to write stuff down on paper because that cleared my mind. If I had too much going on in my mind, I wouldn't be a good person to be around because I'd be getting pulled in all these directions. So, kind of on my mind, got to go down on paper. And that's the way I treat everything now. Every conversation that I have with coaches, with ADs, with whoever it may be, I'm writing everything down. This way I know I don't forget something. I don't misspell anything or whatever it may be, or, because that's a job where that's a skill where for this job that you need it,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you bring up something important there, and it reminds me of a book I read. I read a ton now, both, inside and outside of football. And the name of the book is Getting Things Done by David Allen. He's developed this system of creating stress-free productivity. And, one of the key points is and what he calls it is capture, right? Like you have to have a place to capture all these ideas. Otherwise, they do become distractions. You're not as able to be as mindful as you can be to put your attention to where it needs to be. And for the coaches out there, this certainly applies there too. I think that practice of writing things down, you get it off your mind. It is somewhere, you can go back to it. And I really believe for me, I love the technology side of things, but when it's in technology, it gets lost. Like that physical notebook is very helpful to me to go back to and see, okay, this is what I said here. This is the note here. I did it as a coach. My practice script out on the field always came marked up with notes, and then would get transferred onto, whatever notebook I was working with at the time. And I have stacks of notebooks, right. But that is a process, a skill I think is very useful, both inside and outside the game to coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can relate to your practice script deal because I would be that guy to hold the extra 5 or 6 practice scripts because I know one of the coaches is going to leave them inside, right? And so I was always writing stuff down. This period we had this, or even if you're just charting the plays, right? You went through play 1, play 2, play 3. You're always writing down something on your deal, and it would be good to also on the practice script, I have a little spot at the bottom that was just a blank spot for notes. And if I saw something happen that time, one of the coaching things that I've learned was, and this was taught by really all of my coaches, is that, we coach on film, right? You don't want reps being taken away. You want to get out and do it. You don't want to get reps taken away in practice because you only have a certain amount of time. So you coach it on film, right? So if there may be something that you may have to get to somebody in a water break or something like that, and the plays are just keep going on, the 2s are up, the 3s are up, whatever it may be, you just jot that down. And during a water break, you say, hey, play 1 of team 2, you had the B gap open up. You need to hit that thing pretty hard. You know what I mean? So you can coach like that, little tidbits, but if you forget to write that down at that point, you're going to forget it, right? You're going to forget it. And maybe that when you get to team 3, maybe that kid makes the mistake go away, right? Makes the correct play this time. So that I can definitely relate to that. And, I did it throughout my whole coaching career.
As coaches, we know that some of the biggest hurdles to our team's success can come from off the field. Your team needs support to tackle the endless list of expenses, uniforms, training equipment, travel, and more. But raising that money can feel like a full-time job. Thankfully, there's Vertical Raise. Vertical Raise is the premier online fundraising platform using innovative technology to create the easiest and most efficient system available. Raise more money in less time with a local fundraising coach who works with your team every step of the way to customize the ideal fundraiser. With options for online donations, digital discount cards, premium product sales, and even spirit shops, Vertical Raise has top-of-the-line solutions for every fundraising style. To find out more, visit verticalraise.com and we'll get you connected with an exclusive offer on your first fundraiser. I've always been interested in the use of technology to make our jobs more effective, so I'm excited to continue sharing modern football technology with you here on the podcast. This innovative system leverages tendencies to improve self-scouting, game planning, and in-game decision-making at the speed of the game. Modern football stands out because it's a battle-tested platform used by teams at all levels, like four-time national champion Bishop Gorman, the five-time California state champion Folsom Bulldogs, six-time Texas state champion Lake Travis, Cal football, and the CFL's Grey Cup champions, the Montreal Alouettes. So book a demo today to see why these teams trust modern football technology. Visit www.teammofo.com/demo and mention Coach and Coordinator Podcast or use the coupon code CC10 to receive 10% off your first year. Yeah, there was something I wrote down before we got going and we were talking about your routines and your organization, and I mentioned here writing things down, allows you to be mindful. I think mindfulness helps you develop relationships too, because you can be where you are, right? And put your attention to that person and what's being said. But you said about just being organized and having routines is it propels you into relationships. I thought that was a powerful statement because it's not separate from, and we talk about on this podcast all the time, a lot of coaches mention one of the most important things they do in coaching is building the relationships. That's true really in anything you do. It's true in the business world. It's true in education, etc.
Yeah, so you're exactly right. One of the things that I kind of pride myself on now is the relationships I build with coaches. And one of the things that helped me out with that is just like I said, you're clearing your mind, right? You're clearing your mind. And before you step into any coach or any AD or any meeting that you have, that meeting is the most important meeting you're going to have. You got to think that way, because if other things are going through your mind, you say, oh, I got to get to this coach later. I got to get to this coach later. You're not present in your meeting right now. And coaches can see that. Administrators can see that if you're not there. Whether you like it or not, they know that you're not there. So definitely, kind of being there, being present, and that just makes you so much more authentic. And you start to build relationships over there. And you start to build, trust with these guys, because that's a huge factor too, trust, right? If you're going and meeting with a coach and they can trust you, they'll refer you over to other coaches. They'll have you, they'll introduce you to their principal, their AD, whatever it may be. And it's all stemmed from that trust. Now I'm going to schools and I'm not even talking about fundraising. It's like, hey, coach, how the kids doing? How's the wife doing? Oh, you guys went on a cruise this past weekend, right? How was it? So it's things like that. You're getting personal with them, and it's not like you're going to sell something every single day. It's not what you're trying to do. I go into coaches all the time just to say hello, right? I'll see a coach. I'll go to his practice, and I'll say, what's up, coach? How's everything going, man? Just coming by to see how you guys are doing. And you know what I mean? It's one of those deals where you just start to build those relationships, and it's not a deal where you're trying to sell something all the time and you're always there for a purpose and all that. No, you just want to be there and show them that you care.
Yeah, I think that's what's so impressive about Vertical Raise, and I've certainly got to know the platform and understand the technology behind it, and knowing all the other things that are out there. I mean, we are in a digital fundraising world. I can't say the way, knowing the technology side of how things are done, that it's a superior platform. But I think what the biggest thing is about Vertical Raise, what comes through all the time in talking to different reps and talking to Troxel and some of the guys up at the top of Vertical Raise, it's the people. It's about the people. It's the relationships. That's what you get. It's basically you as the rep. You're like an assistant on that staff who's going to take all that work off the plate for the coach. You're helping build that program, and it all comes from the relationship that you're building as well.
That's right. The relationship is a very key part. And then they trust you, and then our platform, we have the best platform out there in the country, hands down. It's a deal where coaches can really just lay back. The coaches are worried about offense and defense and special teams and all that stuff. The last thing I need them to be worried about is fundraising, right? They're the offensive coordinator. We don't want them to be the fundraising coach too. So, that's where I step in, is I become that kind of that fundraising coach and say, hey, coach, I'm going to do 97% of the work. So, trust in me, give me a shot. and we're good to go. And that's where the relationship piece comes in. And then if you follow up with everything that you're taught to, then they're going to be like, oh man, this guy he's really, it's meant from the heart. It's not, he's just trying to collect a paycheck and be gone. Right. And I'll see coaches all the time I'll go to 7-on-7 tournaments. I'll go to basketball jamborees just to see these guys play. I don't care about fundraising. Their fundraiser may not be for another 6 or 7 months. I just want to see these guys and how they're doing. So, the relationship piece is huge. It's a big part of it. And yeah, go from there.
So you made a tough decision. You did step away from a game you love, and you put a lot of time into it. But for you, I mean, there was definitely something more at the heart of this. And, I want to give you the chance here just to emphasize that, because I think, especially, we're heading into the season. As the season winds down, I know a lot of coaches soul search about, what they just did and the time they put into it and the other things in their life. I know some coaches are forced into making a decision that maybe they have to do some other things. And, my message to them is like, Coach, you're going to be fine. Like you said, there's a lot of things that you have that people value. But I think at the heart of this, though, ultimately that decision, there's more behind it than there was for you as well.
Yeah, and one of the things I would like to tell coaches that are listening to this is that you guys have a lot more to offer than you think you have. There's a lot of coaches out there, especially me when I was in it for 10 years, and I'm like, man, this is the only thing I know. I only know the pigskin. I don't know anything else, right? Who's going to hire me? What can I do? Where am I going to go? Where am I going to live? All those questions were going around, and, I had put my faith in the forefront, and I said, hey, if this is what you want me to do, and if this is your plan for me, let's do it. So I took so many things that I didn't know I had from college football. I took the organizational skills. I took the relationships. I took, my connections that I had. All of the above. I took all that, and it all relates to vertical raise. And one of the things about vertical raise that's great is that you're so flexible, right? It's a deal where you create your own schedule. You go see who you want to. You can make as much money as you want to if you do the job, right? You're not kind of answering to anybody. You're not going out there and writing down things that you got to send to your boss and things like that. It's not like that. It's a business that you develop. So, we're fortunate enough that Vertical Raise is a nationwide company. A lot of people know about it already. But yeah, I mean, coaches, you guys have a lot of things to offer that you don't think that you have, right? If I didn't have my organizational skills that I had from UCF and Nebraska and Chapel Hill, I wouldn't be as successful rep in Vertical Raise, bar none, right? I write everything down, every conversation that I have. I live on my calendar. I know when every single meeting is. I follow up with coaches. I have a routine every morning where I text coaches. If their fundraisers come up, I text them 2 weeks out, 1 week out, 2 days out. If their fundraiser just started, I'll give them an update a few days later. I'll thank them at the end, and then I'll drop off a check to them at the end. There's 6 touch points right there in a matter of like 3 weeks. So it's a great opportunity. But yeah, I mean, if I didn't have those skills I developed in college football, like I said, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your story with us. I know Vertical Raise is growing around the country, always looking for more reps who have a passion for helping other people, who can develop relationships. Again, all those skills that work with it. So whether that, this discussion with Zach struck a chord now or maybe 6 months from now, we'll put a link in the show notes where if you're interested, you can learn more. Zach, I really appreciate you taking the time. Again, I love what Vertical Raise is doing and look forward to seeing Vertical Raise help more programs around the country.
Absolutely. I'm located in Raleigh, North Carolina. So, we've definitely made a name for ourselves here. And, Keith, I just, thank you for having me on the podcast. It's definitely an honor to be on here and can't wait to see what the future holds.
Here are winning edge takeaways and ideas for implementation. 1. Understand and develop transferable skills. As coaches, we possess a wide array of skills that are highly transferable to other professions. Organizational abilities, relationship building, and leadership are just a few examples. Whether you're staying in coaching or transitioning to a different field, these skills are valuable and can be leveraged to succeed in various roles. Zach Crespo's journey from college football coaching to a successful career with Vertical Raise underscores the importance of recognizing and utilizing these transferable skills. 2. Develop relationships and trust. Building and maintaining strong relationships is crucial in coaching and beyond. Establishing trust and authentic connections can significantly impact your career. For Zach, developing meaningful relationships with coaches and administrators was essential in his transition and success with Vertical Raise. This principle applies universally, whether on or off the field. In the business world, relationships and trust are foundational to achieving goals and fostering a supportive professional network. And 3, practice mindfulness and organization. Being organized and mindful can greatly enhance productivity and effectiveness. Writing things down, capturing ideas, and having clear structure can help manage multiple tasks and interactions efficiently. This practice allows coaches to stay present and fully engaged with their team or clients. Zach's emphasis on meticulous organization and routine demonstrates how these habits can lead to better performance and stronger relationships both in coaching and in any professional setting. If you want to learn more about Vertical Raise and the opportunities, please check the show notes for links. If you are in North Carolina and are looking for fundraising for your program, be sure to reach out to Coach Crespo. I put his contact information in the links. Follow all we're doing at coachandcoordinator.com and follow us on X at Coach K. Grabowski.